Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sim Auction. Today we'll be playing a World Series based on a sim auction we recently completed involving the players from five great teams from the year 1977. So that would be the Yankees, the Royals, the Red Sox, and then over in the National League, the Phillies and the Dodgers. Now, as a reminder, in a sim auction, we take the players from usually five great historical teams. It could be less, it could be a little more, but five seems to be the sweet spot for us. So we make all the players free agents, and then from that player pool, we create five brand new teams via an auction. Now, in a sim auction World Series, we use the teams purchased during the auction to simulate entire seasons to determine who created the best team. Now, in our version of the World Series, each season counts as one game, and then the team that wins 4 seasons is crowned a champion. To get more insight into these great teams that we deconstructed, and also the spirited bidding that took place, please check out my auction video. So before we get started with the season simulations, let's just take a quick look at the teams that were constructed and some of the prices paid during the auction. So let's see, Derek, maybe you can kick us off. Let me pull up the teams and just give us some insight into what you thought about your team. Let me just pull up that screen. So obviously, I know we did a little bit of this during the auction video, but it's always kind of fun to do it before we actually do the simulations. So what do you think about that hitting?
I like my top four players, and I'm not thrilled with every other player on offense pretty much. I think I kind of stacked the top of the batting order with those four guys, and the bottom half is going to really struggle. I was happy that I got Bucky Dent for $1 because, as you can see, I ran out of money there.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny. It's funny because you sent me an email about kind of musing about your first base platoon, which which is true. It's a little rough. It's a little on the rough side. Tony Muser
Yeah,
and Bobby
nothing
Toll.
against Tony Muster and Bobby Tolan, but yeah, we're gonna really struggle across the infield pretty much. Even
Yeah,
I got a couple of okay catchers. They're not any great shakes on offense, but
yeah,
I think I'm okay in catcher. But first, second, and third, I'm pretty bad.
yeah, yeah. No,
So we'll see how that shakes out. And then I think pitching wise, I finally got some decent pitching.
yeah. I even mentioned to you. I know we were chatting via email, but I mean, I thought yeah, you did the right thing. I mean, you said I am not leaving this auction without at least one ace, and you got Guidry. So I thought that was smart. Yeah.
Yeah, happy with the pitching. We'll see how it holds up. I know there's several other teams here that got, I would say, similar or potentially even better pitching staffs. So, but maybe this will at least keep me somewhat in the race. In some seasons, I have a feeling some years that back end of my offense is going to drag me down. So we'll see
Good point.
how
I think
that plays out.
it's a good assessment of the team for sure. I wanted to ask you because I noticed the other day while I was looking at the flow of the auction. So with Jim Rice, I know Stray opened it up sort of like in a shock and awe approach. He opened up, I think, Jim Rice at 35, and you bid 36. Was that more to try to bump up the price, or were you happy? Did you intend to actually do that?
I was not intending to grab Jim Rice at that point. No, I thought I was just gonna, move the bid up on him a
Yeah.
bit. I felt like that was probably around in the range that I would have paid for him if I needed him, but at that point I really didn't need another outfielder. So uh, hindsight is 2020. I probably shouldn't have jumped in on that one.
Yeah, but I get it because I think I feel like a lot of times when somebody does do that, the intent is to sort of like get everybody, discombobulated. And you really want to be mindful of whether, like be ready for that to happen because it seems like, Stray did that, I think, on a couple of players where he started the bid very high. So that's an interesting tactic that we really hadn't seen before. I mean, I know, Steve, you've a lot of times started the bidding high, but not quite that high.
For that purpose, no.
Yeah, yeah. I know you sometimes you'll do that, but not at 35. Like you might start the guy at 25.
Right.
So I thought that was an interesting tactic by him. But all right, cool. Let's see. Let me just do a quick commentary on Stray, and then we'll move over to Paul's team. Um, so Stray obviously has a lot of hitting. Um, you look at this, even Dwight Evans at $8, those are really good at bats. So from here all the way down to here, it's pretty solid. Now the only thing is he really didn't need Mickey Rivers. So those $12 were sort of lost because he already had plenty of outfielders and DH coverage. So that was another situation where he was trying to bump up the price, and I think it's cool that he was trying to do that. But the danger of doing that, of course, is always that you could get stuck with a guy you don't need. So it's a fine line, between do I go one more dollar or do I just back off and give that guy a couple of dollars of profit? So and I know in the last couple of auctions I've been lucky, but I've been bit by that bug just like you guys have. But definitely a lot of hitting there. Now, of course, that is offset by the pitching because you look at every single starter, we're talking $1 from beginning to end, which is usually a recipe for disaster. So we'll see how that goes. However, he did get three very good relievers. Not only are they good, but they're heavy inning relievers. Like Garber, 103 innings, Tidrow 151, even Brewstar 71. So I think if Stray can get to the end of a game with a lead, he can steal a bunch of games. If he can get to that end of the game with a lead. So it's interesting. It's an interesting strategy.
That team ERA of close to 5 is going to bite him. I
Yeah,
have a feeling.
yeah, I agree. I agree. It's interesting because I've mentioned to you guys before. I wish I had the time to do because technically there's like endless what if scenarios I could play out. Like I could take a starter maybe from Paul's team or my team or your team, Derek, or even Steve's team, and slot him into Stray's team, and then give you guys one of his hitters. And I might still do that just to see what the impact might be, because I almost feel like if he just had one solid pitcher, it could make a pretty significant difference. So I'll let you guys know if I decide to do that, and then just play out a few simulations to see what kind of an impact it would have. But but I tend to agree with you, Derek. I just think it's the starting pick is just not good enough to offset, the great hitting that he has, or to complement it rather. All right, let's go over to Paul. So what do you think about that hitting, Paul? I mean, it doesn't look sexy, but that 850 OPS is pretty nice.
Not at all. I was very intentional. I really didn't want to pay up too many guys. Mostly just out of trauma from the last time I played with you, where I got so burned on spending 30, 40 bucks on these awesome hitters, and then I only won 40, 50 games because my pitching was kind of like Steve's there a little bit, honestly. And so I was very intentional. I had some private guys circled of I can get these in the 15s. I can spend some money on some super aces. So I'm pretty happy coming out. I see that 815 there.
Yeah.
And kind of a platoon. I only got a few guys who are really kind of truly all season starters. Most of my positions don't be kind of changing out a lot, but even the backup guys, I was pretty happy with. Even the kind of $1, $2 guys, I was pretty happy with them.
Well, I thought you did a great job. I mean, Steve knows I love to do that. I love to platoon and get 500 awesome at bats. I know Derek and I have had conversations about that too. If you get the right two guys, you could actually pay less than getting a star player and get some awesome at bats. Now, of course, it's got to work out and you got to time it just right, because if you bring up that guy too early when everybody's got money, then it might not work. But it can definitely be done. You get a couple of really solid guys, and all of a sudden you have 500, 600 really good at bats. I thought you did a great job.
No, yeah, a lot of guys. I mean, looking like Adam Otis, or not Adam Otis, Jay
Amos.
Thompson. Just a lot of guys
Yeah.
who have about 100 games, but that OPS
Yeah.
and slugging is really good, and so
Yeah.
we'll see if it works out.
I was kicking myself because I had the money and I didn't have a second baseman yet. I should have taken you up higher on Davy Lopes because it was you and me on Davy Lopes, and I stopped at 13. I should have probably gotten a couple of dollars more. I don't know if you would have gone higher or not, but I should have just bumped it up a little bit more on Lopes.
My number's in the 20 range because he was one of the last few
Yeah,
infielders with that defensive rating and that slugging. Like I needed something like that. So
yeah.
I
So
wanted him. I was surprised I got him at 13. I was surprised I got Hale McRae so cheap. I thought I got some pretty good prices on my hitting because we had some pitching bidding wars at the beginning part of our auction. So
yeah, pitching was pretty
which I
heavy.
participated in the bidding myself, but I mean, look at Steve Carlton and Tommy John there. It's almost
Yeah,
$100 on two
yeah.
guys.
You got two really good pitchers there, and obviously Carlton was the best. So it's interesting because Carlton, Steve, I was doing some editing on the auction video yesterday. So you dropped out around 50.
Yeah, I think that's where. Yeah,
Yeah, you dropped out, but then right after that, Derek and Stray kept on bidding with Paul.
yep,
First Derek, and then Stray actually was the $56 bid.
yep.
So they were right there with you, Paul, neck and neck. I got to hand it to you because that's gutsy. When you're going up into those kinds of numbers, man, it gets it gets. I know I get rattled when I get into that level.
I got so burned last time we played Andy on the pitching. There's like I'm going to pay him. I don't care. I would have paid anything, honestly. And I probably made that obvious by how quick I was just bidding. Quick, just one upping everybody. So
Yeah, no, that was
we'll see
awesome.
if it pays off or not. But I got two good starters. I have no relieving. I mean, they're decent, but like innings wise, my pitchers need to pitch like 7, 8 innings a game, basically.
Yeah, because you don't have a true guy that could bail you out from a
No.
relief standpoint. Yeah,
So
good point. Yeah, no, absolutely. You need to get a lot from Carlton to make this work. All right, cool. Steve, over to you. So hitting,
Yeah. So I would say that my goal was to be more balanced in hitting and pitching.
which you were.
In this draft. I know I don't take that tact. You know, while still have adding a few more hitters than I normally do, but at the same time allowing myself to have a decent pitching staff, not a powerful one. And I felt that was good on the front end of my rotation and the back end of my bullpen.
Yeah.
You know, my 3, 4, and 5. Betting got out of hand, and I wanted to make sure I got a couple of extra hitters. So you know, unfortunately, I didn't have the funds to really cash in on some of those uh, platoon players that could really benefit my team.
Right.
But I wanted to be balanced and see how that went.
Well, I mean, I think you reached that goal for sure.
Yeah.
I I love Luzinski at 33.
Yep.
I thought Brett might have been a little bit high, maybe.
Yep.
Uh,
For sure.
Um, Scott at 18 is nice. So is Say at 19, and then
Yep.
obviously it gets a little cheaper from there.
Yeah.
But hey, 749 OPS is good.
Yeah.
It's not like the hitting is weak.
No, you know, and can't remember last time I was over 675, let alone 750, you know, 700. So,
Good
yeah.
point. Yeah, I mean 123 in hitting, 137 in pitching, so it definitely is balanced.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So
just to mix it up and hope to see if it'll work. I mean, I know it's not going to, especially with the 5 owners, but I figure I'd give it a shot.
no, I mean I gotta hand it to you because you always have something up your sleeve and you're always trying something different. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
this was a new approach for me.
yeah. And I was telling Derek the other day, I mean this auction felt like extra difficult for me.
Mm,
Like it was definitely you guys were on your game, and then that early bidding,
mhm.
I had to sort of fight myself because you do see the dollars like the players disappearing,
Yep.
and you have this natural tendency to go, oh shoot, I better jump in this pool.
I
But
could feel your uneasiness for sure.
yeah,
I don't know if that's going to affect the outcome, but I could tell you didn't know necessarily how to quickly pivot, and you kind of just sat there, which was probably the best move. But I know
yeah,
you were struggling with it. You could tell.
yeah, no, and you've seen me, you and I have done so many of these that yeah, you could
Yeah,
probably read my facial expressions by this point.
yeah,
Uh, but I sometimes the best action is no action, so I
mhm,
just figure let me just back off here and see, according to my calculations, there should be some bargains later. Just cool
Yeah.
it, Andy. Just sit tight, and then and they did eventually develop.
Yeah.
So I actually I made my first purchase at light 19. So basically almost 20 players. And of course, they're all good players because we usually, we always start with higher priced players. So I was, I saw all these guys off the board and I figured, all right, let me get into this now because I can't wait more than this. And that's when I made my first purchase at lot 19. Um, I ended up getting, I thought really good pitching. Basically, I don't have any bad pitchers. I ended up benching Longborn, so he's not going to be part of my mix. So basically, no matter what, there's always going to be minimum a grade 10 pitching against you guys, which should help me. Very good relief pitching. So if I get into the later innings, I'm in pretty good shape. It's 13 and above. So solid pitching, and then where my strategy of holding back did pay some dividends is I'll show you the guys that I have for less than I paid. Yeager, Maddox, Hobson, White, Cliff Johnson, McBride, Hebner, Boone, Chambliss, Patek, much to Stray's chagrin. So all those guys I had less than I had paid less than I had priced them at, which made sense based on some of that elevated bidding early on. So we'll see how that plays out. Even though from a complete standpoint, though, Steve, I'm only a little bit better than you on OPS. Where I think so, my hitting is not going to be the difference. If there is a difference to be had, it's going to
It's your pitching for sure.
be the pitching. Yeah.
And as soon as you started putting those pieces together, I think it was in the middle of Rao. I was like, uh-oh, this kind of backfired for me because you're gonna have you're gonna have really solid pitching and nobody could do anything about it.
Right, because at
Yeah.
that point I was in the driver's seat with the money.
Yeah, I was like, all right, you got two guys, and then I looked at your money. I'm like, and then when Rao came up shortly thereafter, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna go well. And he followed up with Colborne, like right
Yeah.
away. So I knew I was in trouble then.
Yeah, this little pocket right here is where I said,
Yep.
okay, I got to make my stand here.
Yeah.
So basically between lot 19 and 29, I picked up 4 good pitchers. Yeah. All right, well, we'll see. Let's see what happens here. Let me pull up the other screen and we'll start the first season. All right, cool. Here we go. All right, let's just double check. We got all the right managers: Richards, Stick, Weaver, Miller 2 for Steve and for me. All right. And we're starting at 0-0. All right. Here we go, gentlemen. Season 1 on its way. See how we're doing in the early going here. All right, off to a fast start, my team, but still very early. Paul is in second, tied with Steve, Derek, and Stray.
How do we all have losing records? How's that
after
possible?
14 games.
Ooh, 1-0.
Well, let's stop for a moment and just check a few box scores here. Let's take a look at the standings right now. We'll just take a peek at a couple of box scores. All right, still pretty close. I'm in front after 47, but Paul and Steve and Derek's only 8.5 out, so still very early after 47 games. Let's see. 1-0 here, Derek. Over Stray. Fergie Jenkins with a 5-hitter.
I had one hit.
or rather a one hitter.
Wow, you're right. Look at that.
Scattered.
I got one hit, but I got the win.
Wow. And the guy that I was talking badly about drove in the winning run. Tony, is it Muser? I think it's pronounced Musser or Muser. I can't.
I'm not sure on that one.
Thought it was Muser, but there you go.
Yeah,
Tony
I
Muser.
think you might be right. Yeah.
All right. That is hilarious. You got one hit and the victory.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And then you follow that up with a 10-2 victory over my team. Let's see what that is. All right. Splittorf got beat up, and Rick Roden pitches a complete game.
3-hitter.
Nice. Jim Rice with a triple. Reggie with 4 RBIs. All right.
Jerry Terrell with a 3 RBI day, 2 hits.
Nice.
His 509 OPS that season or whatever he had.
Here's another beat up of my team. This is Paul beating up my team. Who's this? Oh, there's Carlton. Didn't pitch great, but good enough to win. All right. Figueroa obviously went out the night before. 7 earned runs, 5 hits, 3 walks. Everybody hit for your team there. Steve, what's this extra inning game? You and Stray. Bob Stanley loses an extras. Say with his 12th. Yeah. All right, let's keep rolling here. So we're at game 47. With 5 teams, I can actually follow some of the scores. When it's like 3 or 4, it just goes too fast for me. $15-10. Wow.
Right.
All right, let's see where we're at here. All right, opening it up a little bit over Steve and Paul and Derek. Looks like Stray Stray's picking up the rear a little bit in this one. We are past the All-Star break. Let's take a look at our standings. Paul making a run. 6 out, Paul. Let's keep it right here. This could get interesting. 6.5 after 108 games. Five and a half after 120 games. Opened it up a little bit. 8-game lead now with 132 games played. Magic number now showing 8.5. Magic number of 10. And it looks like it's clinched. See what the final tally is here. Looks like we might have at least one rain out. Right, final result is, all right, Paul, 11 out. I thought you were going to make it a little bit closer there at the end. Steve, Derek, and Stray behind that. So, Paul, nice job. 90 victory season. Nicely done. So as we normally do, yeah, no, excellent job. So, guys, I'm going to now switch over to that other module, save the stats, come back and I'll wipe out the stats for this, and we'll do the second season. So let me just switch over to the other module, and then the very last deciding season, we'll go in and we'll look at the stats. And of course, everything will be compiled in an Excel file. So let me just slide over to the other module here. Just record this.
I'd rather win, but I'll take it given I won 40 games last time we played. So I'll take a improvement from 40 to 90.
Oh, it's no 90. Anytime you win 90 games, it's awesome. Got all that recorded. Let me go over to that other module and we'll come back for season 2. Old computer of mine, I was telling Derek, heats up all the time. I got to try to keep it cool here. All right, let me jump over to that other module. Okay, let's get back to our league manager screen. And we're going to wipe out these stats. Guys, can you still see the league manager screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Season 2 is on its way. All right, I got to pause and check out that 17-3 game.
Stray's pitching staff.
Bergie. Yeah, nobody had their game on Stray's staff that day. Reggie, four hits.
Lee
Look
Lacy,
at Lee.
6 RBIs.
Yeah, 6 RBIs, Lee Lacy, yeah.
Johnny Oates going yard.
Nice.
Grand slam.
Yeah. And guys, even though there were, like sexier names, you had Schmidt and Brett and Rice, from an OPS perspective, Reggie Smith actually had the best OPS of all the hitters. So I thought he didn't get the respect he deserved during the auction.
I was happy to grab Reggie. I forget what dollar value I got him at, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a good value. So.
I agree. Yeah. All right, let me see where we are when I paused. Let's see. Half game lead. I know it's still early, almost 20 games, but Steve's only 1.5 out. Everybody's in it. All right, so let's get it going again after almost at the 20 game mark. Here we go. All right, let's take a quick look and see how things look right now. Paul, you just right at my heels there after 44 games. Steve and Stray, and then Derek. Steve not too far behind. Let's take a look. We're approaching the All-Star break. We just passed it. So midway point. Paul jumps in the lead
There we go.
by 4.5.
Steve probably.
Yep, I would bet so. Nicely done. All right, let's take another look. 6.5, opening it up. Might as well stay right here with the standings. Whoa, I cut into it. 1.5 from 6.5 to 1.5. Oh, dead even after 107 games, Paul. Steve still in it. Two and a half game lead. Steve falling back a little bit. I see a magic number. 4. I'm opening up just a tad, but 26 magic number. This is going to be interesting, gentlemen. 1 game lead now. You picked up 3, Paul. Magic number of 19. 2 game lead. Magic number of 8. 1.5 magic number of 3. All right, let's take a look, see if there's any rainouts. Uh-oh. And it happens to be my team. Let's see if it's something that will matter or not. Let's take a look. Nope, it will not matter. Just barely. Let's run it. And so I end up winning that game, and the final tally is, wow, that was exciting. That was close. Whew. Just got that one. Nicely done, Paul.
Close.
95. Let me just jot this down.
I was firmly in last place, so somehow I managed to to get into 4th at the end there.
Well done. And your assessment early on of Stray's pitching is turning out to be true.
Look at my team in 1-run games, though.
18 and 25.
No, that's Stray.
Oh, sorry. No. Oh my goodness, yeah.
So I guess my Charlie Huff and Elias Sosa bullpen is holding
Is
holding
working.
up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's just that dreadful back end of the offense is killing me.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, let me jot this down. Wow, that was exciting. Good job, Paul. Steve was 80, 68, and 64. So 2 seasons in the books. Let me save this and we'll come back for 3. All right, that is all saved. Let's go back to League Manager and reset these stats. All right, here we go. Season 3. Ooh, hold on. 2-1 16 inning game. Let's see. Steve, 2-1 over Derek's team.
2 pitchers.
Wow, look at Leonard pitching 11 innings. Guidry pitched, only allowed 1 hit.
It was 1-1 after 2.
Wow. So basically we had what, 13 innings before another run was scored. Wow. Interesting game. All right, let's see if there's anything else that catches my eye here. 10-1 game here. Let me see what happened in this one. Okay, Rao pitched a nice complete game, and Stray's pitching didn't quite have it, especially the last guy. 4 homers from my guys. Okay. All right. See if there's anything else here. Derek, let's see if this is Carlton. Nope. Sutton with a complete game shutout. Paul, anything interesting on your end? Here you go. You beat me up
15-10
15-10.
up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So nobody has it. Just a pure slugfest. Nobody pitching well here.
Right.
Nella with his 5th, Nettles with his 3rd. My guys hit three homers.
Burleson, 5 RBIs.
Yeah. I mean, you deserve the victory. You out hit me 18-11. So yeah. All right. Let's see. And standings wise, let's see where we're at here. All right. So very early on, obviously, Steve, you're half a game behind. Paul 1 out, and Derek only 1.5. Straight 2. So everybody in it after almost 20 games. And here we go. Right, let's take a look and see how we're doing. Stray jumps in the lead. Look at this. Everybody's in it after 45 games. Interesting. Maybe we were being a little harsh with Stray's pitching. Or maybe not. All right, so jump in the lead. Steve, you're right behind me. Stray's behind that, and Paul still in it. We are past the All-Star break. Let's take a look. All right, still very, very close. Steve, Paul, Stray right there. One and a half. We're just going to keep it here, gentlemen. 1.5, 3, and 4.5 after 96 games. Half a game now, Steve. Two-game lead now. 6.5, Paul. You're still in it. Me and Steve tied. 118 games. Paul still there in the weeds. Three and a half now. Magic number of 26. Oh, 5.5 now. Magic number of 13. Paul is 6 out. Oh, looks like I got it at the end there. That was very, very close for most of the season. And let's see, 1 rain out. That's the final tally on season 3. Paul scoots into second. Steve had his best. I think this was your best season, Steve. You faltered at the end, but you were right there neck and neck for 3/4 of the season.
First over 500. Yep.
Yeah. All right, let me just jot this down and save season 3. All right, let me save these stats and we'll get to season 4. Had two very competitive seasons. The first season not so much, but the last two have been very close. And summary. Save the pitching for season 3. All that is saved. Let me go back to League Manager and erase these stats. All right, here we go. Season 4. All right, let's take a look, see how we're doing in the early going. So I have a slight lead over Stray's team, 7.5 Paul and Steve, and the 9.5 Derek. Still very early, 23 games played. Definitely see a lot of like when Stray's team, a lot of slugfests. All right, let's go back to the standings. All right, looks like my team's pulling away on this one. You guys somebody needs to claw back in there. 48 games in the books. Let's take a look. We should be approaching the All-Star break. Oh, there you go. Paul clawed back in 7.5. That's within striking range after 66 games. All right, we're just past the All-Star break. Let's go back in and take a look. 8 out, holding steady. That's still within striking distance after 83 games. Let's see. 93 games now, 9-game lead over Steve, 9.5 over Paul. Eight and a half and 10. Stray actually jumped into second now. 6.5 Stray, and we're 115 games into the season here. Hit a bump in the road. So Stray falls back to 11. Paul, you're at 11 also. Magic number 24 now. Just stay with the standings here. Magic number 7. 3. And let's see if there's any rainouts. It looks like there aren't any. Final standings is an even 100. So this one, I think like the first season wasn't close, but the two middle seasons were actually very close.
Nice job.
Thank you. I have my doubts on
job.
this one. Yeah, I definitely have my doubts on this one because I didn't feel like there was enough separation between my team and your team, Steve, and your team, Paul. And then also, Derek, your pitching staff was kind of in that same realm as ours. And I just didn't feel like I had enough separation. But when I started doing the test sims, this is kind of like the same results I got. And I'll show you guys, Paul, specifically, I'm going to show you something that was a little bit of an eye opener in a minute. But let me just jot this down and then we'll look at the stats. So 183, 83. All right, let me save these stats and then we can take a look and I'll show you the one. Because Steve knows I like to do test sims before we do this sim just to make sure that player usage is in line. Just to make sure there isn't anything weird in terms of how the managers are using the players. And then sometimes I'll try different managers. And I noticed with your team, Paul, that if you had used Miller 2, it would have given you better results. And the reason is, I still would have won, but wait till you see what the results were. And the reason is, Richards, the guy that you used, he doesn't save the rotation. So he'll use starters in relief. So you'll notice that he used Carlton in relief. So Carlton ends up like saving like 10 games for you here and there. So
That's
could
not
be
good.
no, it could be a good thing in some situations, but not always, because what happens is if Carlton saves a game for you, now he probably will have his start bumped for a day, and then you end up losing a few innings here and there during the course of the season that he could have given you as a starter. But the converse of that is, he could have been the best option to save a game. So Richards is actually a good manager, but he's a good manager when you have a deep starting staff because he could play around with the starters and use them as closers. So you would have done better with Miller, but if it's any consolation, I still probably would have won. I'll show you what I mean when I show you the numbers. All right, let me save the stats or I will forget. And Paul, by the way, he's not the only manager that does that. There are several. So when you read their profiles, just be mindful of that.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on his thing. I didn't really factor that in, but yeah, you're right. I mean, if you say 10 saves by Steve Carlton, that's what, maybe 20 innings he probably pitched in relief, and that's 3 starts he might have missed. So.
Right. All right, let me make sure I got all this saved. Let me share the screen so we can look at the stats for this past season. Let me share this particular screen now that I have it saved. There we go. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me sort by innings. So again, this is just the stats for the last season. So again, you'll notice on Carlton, Paul, so he was in 43 games, but of those 30 were starts, so he was used 13 games in relief.
A waste.
And he ends up getting you 6 saves. So and again, it's not necessarily a complete waste. It's just that he probably would have been better used as a starter, of
For
course.
$57, I wanted him to be my starter.
Exactly. So he was your starter for 30 starts, not for the extra that he could have gotten you for those innings that he pitched in relief. Having said that, he pitched great. Still gave you almost 260 innings of great pitching. Leonard, great job.
You got the same thing there with Tommy John though too, right? 10 saves.
Exactly, because
yeah, it's my 2 studs right there. Yeah,
the same thing,
$100.
the same thing applies. Yeah. So
good point.
he likes to, and it's interesting. I didn't know that about Richards till I started to do the test sims. I knew that there are some Buck Miller versions. So Buck Miller 2 will keep the starters, but Buck Miller 3 and 4 will do the same thing that this guy does, play around with the starters as relievers. So there's something to keep in mind in the future. Again, I'm going to show you how it probably would not have made a difference, but still, you would have done better.
I had a similar deal with Guidry. I'm not sure why Earl Weaver was using Gator in relief there, but
see, that's a surprise. That because Weaver, I didn't think that was in his profile. Yeah, 25 starts, 37 games.
Yeah, because he didn't do it with Sutton, and I think Guidry might have had a few games in relief that year. So it but that's 25 starts versus 32 or something.
Right. You'd rather get those innings in in relief, or rather as a starter, of course. See if there's any other weird stuff here. Well, Sutton's ERA was high, but not crazy high. But his one-loss record was crazy, 8-23.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah.
Well, hey, I lost 99 games. Somebody had to lose.
Good point. Good point. So that covers the pitching. Let's take a look at the quality side of the hitting. Oops, hold on. Let me pull it up. All right, so this is the quality side of the hitting. Let me just sort it by OPS. So I mean, there you go. Bake McBride, who is, was only playing against right-handers, not my lefties, but I mean a 1069 OPS. Cliff Johnson. So basically two guys that were not full-time players for me, both with over 1,000 OPS. Nice job by Davey Johnson, Reggie Smith, Dusty, Bernie Carbo, who I almost bid you a little bit higher on too, Paul. Nice job by Luzinski, Garby, Rice. Let's see if there's any surprises on the negative side. Yeah, Reggie at 753. I mean, his real life numbers were better than that.
Yeah, that's a bit disappointing there.
Yeah, yeah. 739 Evans. I think that's the big one. Watching Nettles at 696, not great. Yeah, I think Paul probably expected more from that from Mr. Nettles. So that covers the quality side. Let's take a look at the quantity side of hitting. Sort that by homers. These guys did what they were supposed to do. Schmitty, 39 homers, 12 triples. Baker, Garvey, McRae actually led the league in this season in RBIs. Oh, look at Jim Rice with 16 triples. So lots of homers. And then let's see on the stolen base side. Not by design, but I ended up actually with most of the stolen base guys. And I typically don't. I mean, I never target that, but it just kind of worked out in my advantage that way. So 35-5, that's nice from McBride. Not only did he lead the league in slugging, but he stole 35 bases and only got caught 5 times. Gary Maddox, 30-11. That's Paul's. Davey Lopes. Amos Otis. Freddie Patek, very nice. Originally, I intended to use Larry Boa and Patek as a platoon, and then I decided to go all Patek. So that's nice, 58-13. Stolen base percentage. So that covers that. And then from a team summary perspective, so OPS, my team and Paul's team almost exactly the same. I actually had the better slugging. And then, see, and this is why I thought it was going to be close because there wasn't as much separation as I like to see in ERA, as you can see here. Really, this particular season was one really on my hitting, not on my pitching, because my pitching was, I mean, neck and neck with Paul and not that far off from Steve. So interesting. I did have good defense too, which I think helped. I usually don't think defense is a separator in APBA, but when you're close in other things, defense can make the difference. And I think in this particular auction, it actually did help me because I actually had the best defensive team. So, all right, let me stop the share on this, and then I want to show you those test sims that I did. So just to illustrate my point. Let me share this other spreadsheet. Guys, can you see this sheet?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is the test sims that I did, and I did a few others, but these are the two key ones. So as you can see, the first one is very close to the results that we just got. And in the first one, it's just the way it is. Miller 2 for me, Richards for you, Paul. And it ends up being very similar to what we just saw. So I averaged 98 wins, you average 83, Stray 78, Steve 75, Derek 67. So then what I did for the second one is I switched out Richards for you and gave you Miller 2, just like me. And these were the results. So you actually won the first 3 seasons. Very close. By 1, by 3, by 2. And then I came back and I won the last 4. So it was closer. You basically averaged three more victories than than using the Richards manager. So the results were likely going to be very, very much the same, but you would have won a few more games. So I just wanted you to see that it would have made some kind of a difference. So keep that in mind when you do the next one. My recommendation is, unless you have a really deep pitching staff, I don't know that it benefits you from letting the manager use the starters as relievers. So
Yeah, I just didn't really think about that part at all. I was reading
Yeah.
I was reading Richard's other stuff, and
Yeah.
didn't
But I
really
wanted,
factor that part.
but I wanted to show you this just so that you would be at peace, knowing that that he didn't cost you the championship. But he did cost you some victories for sure. So, all right, let me stop sharing this. So, guys, thank you. So what's next, Derek? I think you're taking a break from the next one. I got five guys lined up for January 5th. Steve, you're in that one, right?
I'm in.
Yep. Paul, I think you're going to take a break from that one. So basically, the January 5th, I got 5 guys, 2 guys. Alberto will be in that one, which is the gentleman that participated with you in your first one, Paul.
Okay.
And then there's going to be a guy that did a couple with us last year that hasn't done one yet this year that we're going to get involved on the 5th. And then I'm hoping we can get a few more people in. I do have a couple of other days, I think, that line up with 4 people, including one with you, Paul. So if I can't get a 5th, I'll definitely make sure you get back in the swing of it with a 4-man auction, if you're okay with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Paul, I got to tell you, you took to this pretty quickly. Yeah.
I'll take the improvement from 40 to 90.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Yeah.
take the win, but
Yeah.
manager.
No,
That's funny. $100 on pitching, and they're throwing out saves when they need to be starting games.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so you got to be careful with the manager you pick in the future. But again, I wanted to show you that spreadsheet so you wouldn't think that I cost you the victory. But good job. You reacted well to actually you overcompensated from the first auction. But you know what? If you're gonna overcompensate, Steve Carlton is the guy to do it with. So
Right. He was worth sticking to. I think I spent more on those two than I did on my entire pitching staff last time we played. So I
You
definitely
did.
learned
You
a
did.
lesson there.
You absolutely did. That is so true. So so good job, you guys. And I hope I I always enjoy, whether I win or I lose, I enjoy it. I just have a lot of fun with this. Um and then if we can get if there are some that we can get more than 5 people, I'll just back out of
Hmm.
it and just be the auctioneer. So just to give you some history, Paul, last year there were a couple of auctions where we had 5 participants and I didn't play. I was just the auctioneer. So,
Oh, cool.
if I can get five people, I'm okay with, backing out of it and just being the auctioneer. For me, it's still fun because I love to pick up intel anyway about what works and what doesn't, and whether I play or I don't play, I'm always gathering data. So
And someone else actually wins.
exactly.
Yeah.
So so no matter what, it's fun for me. So but thank you guys. I'll get busy on the stats compilation as soon as I get off this, and I'll hopefully have it to you by sometime tomorrow.
Sounds great.
I'm heading back to the drawing board.
But you know what, Derek? I mean, when you look at this auction, you did balance it. I mean, there are times where you've definitely been heavy on hitting, but this one you did balance it. You know, I think if you had not gone for Rice, it would have given you a lot more flexibility, though.
Yeah, that's the old. Well, I mean, I don't have the unlimited funds like Steve Cohen, but okay, if you don't get Juan Soto and you're the Yankees, now you pivot and you pick up, Goldschmidt and Max Fried and Devin Williams and I don't know, 7 other guys. So
Third baseman, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. I just think without if you take Rice off your team, you would have been able to bid against me a little bit in some of those mid-range guys. You might have been able to bid against Paul on some mid-range guys. So it would
I
have given
would
you
I
a
would
lot
have
more
gotten a
flexibility.
real first baseman probably. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, listen. If obviously if I don't talk to any of you before, I'm wishing you the very best in 2025. Primarily health and followed closely by peace and tranquility, my friends. Thank you. Thank you for participating in this. I appreciate it.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New
Year,
Year.
guys. Yep.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Okay, bye.